Ignister takes a surprising, or rather shocking, regional top 8 with Dragon Link winning the event. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more content. Now, just because I said that Dragon Link won this regional and there was a sighting for Ignister out here does not mean that you did not have fire present in the top cut of this event, because you had 2 Fire Kings and you had double Snake Eyes. Now, as per most of you guys that might be, sleeping underneath a rock right now and you guys haven't woke up for spring yet, yes, it is still a very fire-centric format. A lot of these builds are fighting with each other out here, trying to overcome the meta. All right, we've seen this. I'm not all that surprised to see that we're still dealing with these problems of fire, but it was cool to see for this regional that we got a different story out here. Now, overcoming all the odds for this event was Dragon Link somehow getting the chance stand on top of the podium and go, hey, I am the winner of this event. And genuinely, I'm pretty shocked about that. The fact that for some odd for known reason, Bysteel Dragon Link just overcame the meta. Like, I think that's pretty impressive. We also had Manadium present for this top cut, which I'm not all that surprised either. I feel like at this point, like, Manadium is a pretty standard metagame challenger here, especially if this deck gets pretty much unchecked out here and is able to kind of go through its full combo lines. Pretty easy stuff. We also had our Ignister player. I do miss when this deck was the ability to make huge Ignister unaffected guy, but how many Firewall Dragons you can throw at your opponent is the current iteration. And we also had Super Heavy Samurai showing up for this event, showing that, who needs spells and traps in your deck when you can just pack in 70 monsters and get the chance to top a regional. Let's pass on over to those deck lists. Winning our event here is actually Dragon Link. No surprise there. Now, before you're like, Robbie, there's 2 cards missing in the side deck. Missing side deck cards, from what I was told, are actually Phantasmes. So you have all of the standard filtering options available to you in this deck. This deck gets the chance to do everything that you want it to in the current environment. I think that's kind of crazy to think about out here, that Dragon Link, to be fair, the big Link 5 Voral End Dragon, from what I've been told, people are like, well, Fire just doesn't have an out to that. So just roll out the big fire monster and your opponent just cannot. And I can agree with that a little bit. There is a chance that, by putting, these larger monsters on the field, you do pressure your opponent out of the game. That's very much always going to be an option when you're looking at these sorts of things for consideration. So I think that's worth noting out here. So congratulations to first place. Second place. See, what did I tell you? There was some fire present in this event. It got second place. It just, unfortunately, maybe didn't have to deal with, Boral End, or, just lost some key dice rolls. It'd be like that sometimes. Biggest things I see here, the double crossout designator instead of actually playing 3. I feel like at this point that you try to want to maximize your best results to kind of make sure that, we can do things. I do see that you do play the one Monster Reborn. Man, Monster Reborn is such a gas card, man. Like, just the ability to do so many toxic things with Monster Reborn as a card, to me, is kind of crazy. Also, the 1 talents in the main deck for this duelist, that's so wild that they were like, hey, we can side the additional cross. We have econs, tech choices. Am I right? They really do showcase some of the best. All right, next up is our Manadium duelist here. There's the 3 copies of the Fenrir. Yep, mid-range control at its finest. Do play the 1 copy of the little Scareclaw extension Gas Man himself. We do main deck the reframing. That's kind of interesting to still see the triple ghost bells. You do see double crossout in the side. I guess it's just for, obvious reasons, for like hitting the Nibiru, things like that. Maybe attack talents is attempting to ruin your day. There's plenty of things that can ruin this deck's run. We've seen it time and time again. That's why, like, the full combo builds that this deck can do can sometimes be a little bit more fragile than others, but I do think that having those stop functionalities to go, hey, we can try to balance things out, or at least try to make it so that you can kind of control the pace of the game and not lose. It's what crossout's for, As long as you can see, you can go full combo without worrying about nib ruining your day. Next up here is more Fire Kings. Wow, these Fire King variations, man, let me tell you, these things look so basic. I do see triple crossout in the side deck. I feel like that's been a pretty standard method of things. You don't want to put them in the main, especially in a regional like this where you don't think you're going to run into as much fire, depending on budgetary options. Yes, the overall economy of the region does matter for these decks, because if I'm going into, obviously, Latam event, I'm probably going to side the crossouts because I don't want to, worry about, maybe if I play mirror matches, I can board them in and get the maximum results. Sure, but outside of that, okay. Citing the one shifter also for the crossout in case it does come up. This build's also playing the Magician Souls, which is always really cool to drop a Dia Bellstar for a free special summon and then toggle off maybe a worthless extra wanted or something that you got along the way. Gotta love resources. Next up, we have more fire. How much fire can we have? Well, a lot, evidently. Honestly, how much fire do you want to see in this meta? You are not even playing, you're playing the one Sanctuary with the one, what's it called? The one Island. You do play the one Circle. Honestly, the one Circle, I think, has been pretty strong for a lot of these decks. Being able to have Circle to set up some little dodge plays is actually extremely powerful. We are also only side decking one Soul Release, but you've also got Thrust to be able to toggle into it. This is one of those cases where Thrust gets you this infinite more value to be able to kind of set up and do what you need it to do. See that we do have the Destructive Daruma cannons in here as well in the side deck to pull off of the Thrust. That's got to be actually disgusting if you actually get the chance to fully resolve that. So overall, I mean, this looks pretty standard to me. Next up here, we have Ignister, aka Firewall Dragon Turbo. You have so many different Firewall Dragons that you're able to go through because you're effectively Cyberse good stuff. And this is also not the first time that we've seen Ignister kind of coming into this format right now and being a little bit more of a menace. I feel like I'd be very scared because of the amount of hand traps that are present in this format. When you're on the heavier side of those hand traps, you run into this deck getting choked out. And if this deck cannot get to its field spell, or, it loses one of those key things, it really hurts. Obviously, this deck no longer has Circular, which I think is personally a really rough issue. Also post side decking down here, you bring in the third crossout if you need it. They did feel like they wanted to keep this deck at 40 for optimized reasons, which is understandable. I mean, you want to make sure that your deck can get to all of the options to be able to capitalize and do its thing. Next up here, we also have more fire. This is going to be your pure Snake Eyes sporting off the triple crossouts. You have the Veilers built into the main deck. They're playing triple original Sinful Spoils in here just to make sure that they can see what they need to be able to turn around the meta. And it's actually kind of crazy to think about that you are maximizing on this. This build also only chose to play one copy of Flamber's Dragon. We've seen a few more people kind of trying to tip the scales, trying to play more than one. I think two Flamber's Dragon does actually seem pretty good. You do see the Subversion Sinful Spoils down there in the side deck. Basically being able to crystallize these monsters and being able to, let's just see them in the Spawn Trap card zone, means you don't have to worry about any of these recurable guys coming back. We do side the one shifter to hit as the cross-out target if need be. Outside of that, this feels pretty standard in my personal opinion. And then, what's a spell and trap? All right, this is your super heavy 70 card monster pile. Yes, 40 in the main, 15 in the extra deck, 15 down here and the side. You do see those deltas and the one gamma doing what the hand traps are supposed to do for the pressure of this format. Build is also playing triple copies of Shifter. Yes, being able to bring down that pressure on your opponent so they actually can't play the game is very interesting. I see that we've also got some little splash cards in here next to the Scales and the Wakashi. Haven't seen that in a while. And of course, I mean, it's just how many hand traps can you have to detour the opponent so that you can combo up and not lose to the BS that is this format. Very interesting. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.